In February 76, Supernaut moved from their native Perth to Melbourne, and you joined the band in August 76 after answering a bass player wanted ad in RAM, replacing original bass player Randall Murphy. Is that correct?
Exactly. It was quite a funny situation. I was in my last year of high school, year 12, and we were just getting ready to do the HSC. And I had stopped playing in bands. I stopped White Heat earlier because it was too much. And I thought, well, I'll just pick it up again when I go to university if I got in. So I just had to concentrate. And that Sunday before, I was obviously, we all were addicted to Countdown. I'd been sitting and Supernaut came on singing I Like It Both Ways. And I was just sitting there. I was just mesmerized because I thought if I could be in the band, I would want to be in this band, right? It was one of those moments. And then a couple of days later, I was at school and I just needed to take some time out. I just sort of went down the road to pick up RAM, read it, and I thought, my God, how perfect is this? So I just called up a record company. They told me to speak to the manager in Melbourne. He said they were auditioning the following day. So he said, if you want to come down to Melbourne, come down and we'll audition you. So I told my folks I was going to go stay at a friend's house overnight, got some money from a friend, and just jumped on the plane for the first time, grabbed my bass and jumped on the plane. And I flew down, got into the auditions. It was cold auditions. I said, here's the song, just play along. And then they asked me to join. And so that I came back to Sydney and packed up my stuff, made sure my folks weren't around because they were not going to let me join a rock and roll band. And how crazy is this, right?
That's an amazing story.
And I actually, at that, I had no money, so I had a watch that I just sort of sold to a friend so I could get back down to Melbourne. And, took off. And then I called my folks from Melbourne. I said, listen, I'm sorry to tell you this, and it was hell, it was hellish.
Meant to be. Man, that's an amazing story. And had Supernaut signed to Polydor at that stage or not?
Yeah, I Like It Both Ways was out.
Okay, so the single was out.
Yeah, the first single hit, and that was the song that grabbed me, and them playing live. No, it wasn't their video. It was them playing live, miming on Countdown, which grabbed me. Because I thought, wow, I was totally into all those, every aspect of what that band was doing, the glam, the rock. I understood instinctively what Supernaut was trying to do from every level. And that's why I think they accepted me. And it was quite funny because one minute I'm this kid living in Bondi playing in high school bands. Next minute I'm in Melbourne, in St Kilda, in a two-bedroom apartment, sleeping in bed in a room in two beds. Chris and Joe, the brothers, and Gary and me, we're all sharing these two beds together. And I'd never met these guys before. And now you're in a rock and roll band. And it was like, what the heck? It was an amazing moment.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I had read somewhere, I can't remember where, fairly recently that Supernaut had signed to Polydor on Molly Meldrum's recommendation after he'd been tipped off about Supernaut by Paul McCartney. Have you heard that rumor?
Well, what exactly happened was McCartney and Molly went on a trip to Perth and different cities and the idea was they were just going to go look at different bands, And McCartney said his favorite band from that whole trip was seeing this little band in Perth play in a pub, and it was Supernaut. And so that incited the band to come to Melbourne. Just that in and of itself. Everyone said, what the hell, let's go down to Melbourne. And their manager, obviously played the demos to, our manager, Robbie Williams, played the demos to Molly, and Molly loved the song, and he put them straight in the studio.